Grand jury will hear testimony on Monday as part of an ongoing investigation into Tiffany Henyard's leadership in the South Suburbs.
FBI has launched an investigation into controversial Dalton Mayor Tiffany Henyard.
Dane Placco has been following allegations of her misspending and joins us now with an update. Dane.
Yeah, we've been reporting for nearly 2 years on allegations of corruption surrounding Henyard in her capacity as Dalton Mayor and Thornton Township Supervisor. FBI also demanding records from the Tiffany Henyard Cares Foundation. We reported at least $10,000 in taxpayer money.
The ongoing scandal involving Tiffany Henyard, the mayor of Dalton, Illinois, has drawn significant attention as the FBI has launched an investigation into her alleged misconduct. Recent developments have sent shockwaves through local leadership, including the Dixon and Tun trustees. The evidence against Henyard is rapidly mounting. The first major sign of the investigation emerged when FBI agents were seen questioning key individuals in Dalton. Though officials have not disclosed details, it's believed that the investigation relates to long-standing accusations of Henyard using her political power for personal benefit. The situation has escalated, further tarnishing her reputation as the so-called super mayor and raising concerns about potential misconduct.
In fact, interviewing witnesses as part of a possible investigation that may or may not result in charges. How did the FBI agents you talked to seem serious about?
Yes, very serious. Very serious.
Lawrence Gardner, owner of a U-Haul rental and trucking business in South Suburban Dalton, claims he went to the FBI months ago after the village refused to renew his business license. He alleges harassment with Dalton police raiding and shutting down his business. Gardner believes this retaliation occurred because he declined to donate to a civic event sponsored by Mayor Tiffany Henyard.
I talked to a couple of agents and I explained them what was going on. I gave them all my paperwork to show them what was happening in court and what was happening in Dalton. And they told me they was investigating and they would be.
Lawrence Gardner is one of 6 individuals who have confirmed to Fox 32 that they were interviewed by the FBI, including Dalton business owners, a former village employee, and at least one public official. Several business owners in Dalton have revealed they were denied business licenses because they refused to support Mayor Tiffany Henyard's election campaign. The situation raises concerns about the disturbing link between business operations and political donations. The ongoing investigation paints a troubling picture of corruption under Henyard's leadership. Using electronic surveillance, FBI agents are investigating Henyard's alleged misuse of taxpayer resources, including extensive spending on out-of-town trips and hundreds of thousands of dollars in police overtime for her personal security. Additionally, agents are looking into her alleged use of public employees and funds for personal benefit, as well as holding up licenses for businesses like a Dalton restaurant.
I've heard rumors that say, hey, I'm on the wrong.
Dwayne Wood has been attempting to renew his restaurant's business license for nearly a year. While he hasn't spoken with the FBI, he believes his approval is being blocked because he provided catering services to several Dalton trustees involved in a political dispute with Mayor Henyard.
I think I've been just targeted because of my affiliation with a certain group of people. You know, I had the trustees. I cooked for the.
In a lawsuit filed by a Dalton towing company, the owner alleges their business license was delayed due to George's Towing's refusal to support or contribute to Mayor Henyard's political campaign. Meanwhile, FBI agents are investigating Henyard's alleged misuse of taxpayer funds and resources. The inquiry includes questioning her about extravagant out-of-town travel expenses, hundreds of thousands of dollars spent on police overtime for her personal security detail, and the use of public employees and tax dollars for personal gain. Additionally, agents are probing her role in delaying licenses for specific businesses, such as a Dalton restaurant. Dwayne Wood, owner of the restaurant, has been attempting to renew his business license for nearly a year. Though he has not spoken with the FBI, he believes he has been targeted due to his catering services for several Dalton trustees, who are currently engaged in a political dispute with Henyard. I believe I have been singled out because of my association with a particular group of people, Wood stated, referring to his involvement with the trustees. The owner of the towing company shares similar concerns, citing a refusal to endorse Henyard as the reason for his stalled license. Dalton trustee Jason House responded to the news of the FBI's investigation, saying, "We welcome any investigation that will bring transparency to how taxpayer dollars are being spent. Our residents deserve this level of financial transparency."
We reached out to the FBI, which said it is policy for the agency not to comment on the nature, existence, or non-existence of any investigation that may be occurring. A public relations firm responded on behalf of the mayor, saying neither Henyard or the village of Dalton have received any subpoenas or been contacted by the FBI or any other law enforcement.
For the citizens of Dalton, the arrival of the FBI marks a long-awaited opportunity to confront years of corruption and mismanagement under Mayor Tiffany Henyard's administration. Dalton, a small community that depends on its public servants to prioritize the collective good, has instead witnessed a government mired in allegations of self-interest, financial misconduct, and a lack of accountability. The misuse of public funds and resources under Henyard's leadership, along with an alleged focus on personal enrichment rather than public service, has fueled widespread frustration and eroded trust in local governance. Public services essential to the town's well-being have suffered. Firefighters have worked without contracts, roads have fallen into disrepair, and basic community needs have been neglected, all while Henyard's administration indulged in lavish events, unchecked spending, and controversial appointments. These priorities have overshadowed the core responsibility of governing for the benefit of Dalton's residents. The federal investigation represents a critical turning point for Dalton, offering a chance to dismantle what many believe to be a deeply entrenched network of deceit and favoritism. While Henyard's critics have long suspected widespread corruption, the FBI's involvement has validated their concerns and renewed hope for justice. For the first time, there is a genuine possibility that Dalton can shift from a cycle of alleged exploitation and inefficiency to a future grounded in transparency, fiscal responsibility, and public service. Residents who have watched their hard-earned tax dollars fund an administration marked by opaque practices and questionable priorities now see the federal probe as a necessary step toward restoring not only their finances, but also the foundational principles of fairness and integrity in local governance. The FBI's involvement is seen as an essential move to return Dalton's leadership to the people, prioritizing their needs over the ambitions of the few. Though Dalton citizens know change will not come overnight, they are ready to demand meaningful reform. For them, the federal investigation is not just a probe into wrongdoing, but a rallying cry for reclaiming their town's values, ensuring that future governance will truly serve the community. As the investigation continues, Dalton's residents remain united in their hope for accountability and a future where justice prevails.
And trustee Andrew Holmes, as well as several other companies and individuals, plus any records related to Henyard's charitable organizations. The subpoena also requests all travel records paid for by the municipality, including a trip taken to Las Vegas in May of last year. On that trip, both the mayor's former assistant and a Dalton police officer, they both filed a civil lawsuit accusing Holmes of assault and battery and Henyard of retaliation. Regarding the lawsuit, the mayor and Holmes both declined to comment. The first two grand jury subpoenas were served April 10th, asking for personnel and disciplinary files for nearly 30 people. The subpoenas also asked for documents related to Keith Freeman, the village administrator recently indicted on charges of bankruptcy fraud. His attorney told us he has no plans to step. Days ago, the law firm representing the village in at least 19 lawsuits in Cook County and federal court said it's planning to withdraw from the cases May 8th due to lack of payment. NBC5 has obtained a copy of the letter sent to the village by the Delgado law firm.
Since the revelation that the FBI requested records from Dalton regarding Mayor Tiffany Henyard's administration, public outrage has surged. This growing anger is entirely justified, as it signals a tipping point in what has been a long history of controversy surrounding her leadership. Henyard has long faced scrutiny, with her tenure marked by allegations of corruption, mismanagement, and self-serving practices. However, the current federal investigation has brought unprecedented attention to her actions. Marking a moment of reckoning, the FBI's involvement confirms that the suspicions voiced by critics and residents have been taken seriously, adding weight to long-standing accusations of fiscal mismanagement and abuse of power. The agency is methodically gathering information to build a compelling case against Henyard, signaling the seriousness of the allegations. This investigation has become a pivotal moment in Dalton's fight to hold its leadership accountable, casting a harsh spotlight on years of alleged misconduct under Henyard's administration. While some of Henyard's supporters may try to downplay or dismiss the investigation, the community at large views it as a long overdue response to the grievances that have plagued her tenure. Residents who have watched their town's reputation erode and essential services deteriorate now see this moment as a critical step toward uncovering the truth and bringing justice to those responsible. The increasing pressure from both the investigation and public demands underscores that this is not an isolated incident, but the culmination of years of growing discontent. For Henyard, the consequences of her actions may finally be catching up.
Mayor Tiffany Henyard is resisting calls to look into her spending. The village.
You can see our village, our community, myself, we are under attack. It's a shame that people can come to meetings and just tell one-sided stories and not get the entire side of both.
As if the controversies surrounding Mayor Tiffany Henyard's mismanagement of Dalton weren't enough, her recent decision to oppose a proposal to investigate her own behavior has only intensified public skepticism and outrage. The situation escalated when Henyard was given the opportunity to allow a transparent, open examination of her actions, an essential step that could have addressed the growing allegations of corruption and abuse of power. Instead, she chose to block the proposal, raising even more questions about her motives and fueling doubts about what she might be trying to hide. This decision has left many wondering why Henyard continues to resist any form of accountability. Critics argue that her refusal to cooperate with such an inquiry is a glaring admission of guilt, suggesting she is more concerned with protecting her own interests than serving the community. The timing of this opposition is particularly troubling, as it comes amid increased scrutiny from both federal investigators and a frustrated public. Dalton's residents have grown weary of an administration plagued by financial mismanagement, questionable appointments, and allegations of retaliation against critics. Henyard's actions only reinforce the very issues her critics have long highlighted: a pattern of evasion, secrecy, and a blatant disregard for transparency and ethical governance. Instead of using the investigation as an opportunity to clear her name and restore public trust, Henyard has chosen a path that deepens the sense of betrayal felt by Dalton's residents. Her refusal to permit an independent inquiry undermines the principles of accountability and casts a long shadow over the integrity of her administration. The community is left to grapple with the growing perception that their mayor is unwilling or unable to operate with honesty and openness. By blocking the investigation, Henyard has amplified concerns about her leadership, further fueling the widespread belief that she is concealing significant misconduct and prioritizing her own protection over the needs of the people she was elected to serve.
What we know, and that is that a handful of FBI agents showed up to this area earlier today. What is not clear is exactly why.
Earlier today, a few FBI agents were seen in the Dalton area, but the exact reason for their presence remains unclear. However, we received a statement from the FBI confirming that they were conducting court-authorized law enforcement activity in the area. Due to Department of Justice policy, the FBI is prohibited from commenting on the specifics of any ongoing investigation. Despite the agency's silence, it is widely assumed that the investigation is connected to Dalton Mayor Tiffany Henyard, who has been the subject of FBI inquiries for weeks. The FBI's presence in Dalton has sparked a sense of relief among many in the community, as they feel their calls for help have finally been answered. One local resident shared their sense of relief, saying, "For the past 3 years, the board members, citizens, and I have felt that nobody was coming to our aid, giving us the information we need to make informed decisions about our village finances." Today, with the FBI's involvement, many feel they are one step closer to uncovering the truth. Several trustees also expressed their satisfaction that their concerns had been heard. One trustee remarked, "This is really wonderful. I feel somewhat relieved because for the past 3 years, the board members, residents, and I have felt as though no one was coming to our aid in terms of giving us the information we need to make decisions about the village's finances. Today, we feel like we may be one step closer to understanding what the FBI is looking into, not just in regard to Mayor Henyard, but also her former right-hand man." The investigation has raised questions not only about Henyard, but also about a network of influence surrounding her administration. One significant development in the ongoing scandal was the indictment of Keith Freeman, which has intensified the scrutiny surrounding Dalton's leadership. Freeman, currently serving as both the municipality manager and village administrator of Thornton Township, is accused by federal prosecutors of lying in his bankruptcy petition. The indictment claims Freeman knowingly underreported income he received from his employment and from a private consulting business. Freeman has yet to be arraigned, and the village has declined to comment on the charges. This legal issue follows a civil lawsuit filed against Mayor Henyard and trustee Andrew Holmes, who is a prominent community activist. The lawsuit, filed by Henyard's former assistant and a former police officer, accuses Holmes of assault and battery, with Henyard allegedly retaliating. The incident is said to have occurred during and after an economic development trip to Las Vegas last year. At a recent Thornton Township meeting, a citizen accused Henyard of corruption, which prompted her to become more defensive. Rather than addressing the accusations, Henyard attempted to have the individual removed from the meeting, a move that only heightened tensions and indignation among attendees. With Henyard facing multiple lawsuits and a federal investigation, her actions are under increasing scrutiny. Many residents have grown outraged by the accusations against her, with one resident declaring, "You're trying to steal from everybody, and we're not going to let you keep stealing our money." Investigators are focusing on a wide range of issues, from questionable contracts to cronyism. Henyard and her allies have been accused of spending more than $100,000 on extravagant travel expenses, much of which has been uncovered by investigative reports from WGN. As the investigations unfold, residents are demanding transparency and accountability from their leadership. In a recent meeting, Henyard attempted to address the budget and defend her administration. "Now you will hear the truth as it relates to the budget from myself and my administration. You have to listen in order to learn," she said. However, her attempts to control the narrative were met with resistance. At one point, Henyard ordered the removal of a resident who allegedly disrupted the meeting. The village's firefighters, who have long been critical of Henyard's leadership, claim she has been trying to silence her critics. One firefighter even went so far as to accuse her of embezzling money from the retirement fund intended for firemen. These accusations have sparked serious concerns about Henyard's leadership. One firefighter commented, "There is good reason to be concerned about someone as arrogant as Tiffany. Her actions constitute an unforgivable breach of trust, especially when it affects the very people who risk their lives to keep the community safe." Many firefighters have been reluctant to speak out against her, fearing retaliation. Some have expressed that they've been intimidated into silence, while others worry that their jobs could be at risk if they continue to oppose the mayor's actions. Henyard's refusal to cooperate with an independent investigation has only heightened suspicions about her administration. Critics argue that her actions, from obstructing transparency to allegedly embezzling funds, paint a clear picture of a leader more interested in protecting her own interests than serving the people of Dalton. As the federal investigation progresses, the community remains on edge, hoping that the truth will finally be uncovered and that those responsible for the alleged misconduct will be held accountable. With numerous lawsuits, an FBI investigation, and growing public outrage, Dalton finds itself at a critical juncture. Residents and public servants alike are calling for reform and transparency, seeking answers to the questions that have plagued their town for years. For many, this is not just about holding one individual accountable, but about restoring trust in local governance and ensuring that such mismanagement and corruption do not continue to take root in their community. The unfolding investigation represents a pivotal moment for Dalton, with the potential to either confirm long-held suspicions or lead to a much-needed overhaul of the town's leadership.
Sigh of relief. For the last 3 years, myself, the board members, and the residents have been feeling like no one was coming to save us in regards to providing us with the information that we need to make decisions regarding our finances with the village. So today I feel as if we're maybe one step closer to having.
The firefighters in Dalton continue to carry out their duties, keeping the community safe despite the challenges posed by Mayor Tiffany Henyard's controversial actions. As the city grapples with a federal investigation into Henyard's conduct, they've been actively seeking transparency, especially regarding her travel, compensation, and benefits. Julian Cruz of WGN reported from the area, where tension continues to rise. The Thoron Township Board of Trustees recently failed to fully approve their 2025 budget, triggering widespread discontent from residents of the 17 South suburban communities that make up the township. Many are deeply frustrated with Township Supervisor Tiffany Henyard, who is now under the cloud of a federal corruption investigation. "We need transparency, and you've increased everything across the board as if you're trying to drain the money," one resident expressed during an emotional public hearing, reflecting the growing anger toward Henyard's actions despite the investigation. Henyard was seen celebrating with supporters at a party, as if nothing was amiss. She had planned the event, which was officially called the Friends of Tiffany Henyard Picnic, but when the trustees refused to fund it, citing concerns over her lavish spending and its clear connection to her campaign, Henyard claimed the funds came from her personal pocket. However, the true source of the money remains unclear, leaving many residents to question her claims and motives. Henyard's defiance only raised further suspicion. The event, which included a bounce house, skating, and a food giveaway, was intended as a public celebration. Henyard promoted the gathering through social media, branding it with her campaign logo. Despite her insistence that she paid for the event herself, her actions were widely seen as a transparent attempt to boost her public image amidst mounting allegations of corruption. Trustees refused to fund the event, citing concerns about its political nature. Henyard's attorney, however, disputes claims that it was a political gathering, arguing that it was simply a community picnic. Despite the defense, the gathering seemed to serve the dual purpose of improving Henyard's reputation, especially as she faces an ongoing FBI investigation into her financial activities in both Dalton and Thornton Township. Critics contend that Henyard used public resources to further her political ambitions, especially by using her campaign branding on food items being distributed at the event, turning what was meant to be a charity function into a political rally in a Facebook video posted later. Henyard defended her actions, claiming that she was sent by God to lead the people and to clear her name amidst the rising corruption allegations. "We got green beans, we got potatoes, you name it," she stated, referring to the food distribution event. While Henyard regularly promotes the township's food pantry, her critics point to a troubling charge of $117,000 for a roller skating event held in Dalton, which was initially estimated to cost $269,000. Furthermore, the Greater Chicago Food Depository, which oversees food distribution efforts, issued a reminder that food pantry resources should not be used to support a politician's personal gain, pointing out that the food at Henyard's event came from township surplus. Henyard remains defiant, claiming that people who care about the community, like her, will always be targeted by those who want to control things they cannot. "There are people like me who care about the community, and people will always try to stop things they can't control. That's what it's all about," she asserted, suggesting that her critics were simply trying to undermine her efforts. She described herself as a young, vibrant, and energetic leader who would not be deterred, despite the mounting accusations against her. Further scrutiny of Henyard's finances has revealed more concerning information. Spending records retrieved from Dalton show that taxpayers funded over $8,000 in hotel rooms for an event associated with Henyard's charity. This follows previous allegations that Henyard has repeatedly combined public funds with political activities. The Illinois Attorney General had previously closed her charity, further complicating the situation. Despite this, Henyard continues to claim that she was chosen by a higher power to lead and serve, asserting, "God wanted me to lead the people and he knew that I would not back down." However, Henyard's claims of divine intervention have not helped her public image. To many, these statements appear to be a last-ditch attempt to deflect attention from the very real allegations she is facing. The federal investigation into her activities is ongoing, and the evidence against her is continuing to mount. Henyard's refusal to cooperate fully with transparency and her seeming disregard for the seriousness of the situation have only intensified public distrust as the FBI's investigation progresses. The Dalton community and those following the case from across the country are left waiting for justice and answers. The investigation is far from over, and the stakes continue to rise. The people of Dalton, along with many others, are demanding accountability and transparency from their leaders, hoping for a resolution that addresses the corruption and mismanagement that has plagued their town for now. The focus remains on the ongoing federal probe and its impact on Henyard's leadership. With the community's patience wearing thin, many are hoping that this investigation will ultimately lead to the truth being revealed and to the restoration of accountability in local government. As more details emerge and the pressure on Henyard intensifies, the people of Dalton remain united in their demand for justice. For additional updates, please remember to leave a comment below and click the bell symbol to stay informed. We appreciate your viewership and your commitment to keeping up with the latest developments in this ongoing case.